Recording in progress.
Now we're ready.
Now, okay, let's bring the meeting to order. Start the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Armstrong,
Here.
Fallon. Here. Farrell,
Excused.
Happy,
Excused.
Miller,
Here.
Wood. Here. Mayor Cranley.
Here. Okay, additions or amendments to the agenda?
We have no amendments.
Adoption of the consent agenda. Get a motion on that?
Make a motion to adopt the consent agenda of A and B.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second to adopt the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
And Julie's aye. Okay,
Oh, good, all
we're good.
right. Okay, I got Julie on there then, right?
Yes, Julie's up there, but it comes through the speaker, so
Okay,
we're good.
okay.
She said aye.
Okay.
We just need to pause just a little
And
longer.
and if Julie has a question, I'm gonna see a,
Let's see a
thumbs up.
hand up or something.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So I don't have to ask her all the time.
No,
If she has something,
no,
she'll pop up a hand.
that's correct. And I'll try and watch and make sure that you're going.
Technology.
It's one of your favorite things, Your Honor.
Someday I'm gonna get on board.
Uh-huh. And Julie goes thumbs up.
Appearance of interested citizens.
Not yet. We're the action items or public
Oh, I
hearing.
didn't- oh, public hearing.
Yeah,
A public hearing?
we don't, no. But we're just going down the agenda, Your Honor. Have you forgotten this?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I retrain weekly. Okay, action item. No, okay, action items. Appointment committee. So we.
Yes.
Brian Hyde to the budget.
Yes, Brian and what's Brian's, William Moffett were both candidates at the last meeting, but we only had one position. Since that council meeting, we've had one budget committee member leave. So the intent of the council was to appoint Brian to that position, and we just want to make it official.
So we're all okay with that? I'm good with that. Yeah.
Okay, we will take care of that.
Okay. Then appearances. All right. I was
You're
way
right.
off, wasn't I?
No, you were just fine.
So we have anybody wants to? We have, I see we have citizens
Okay.
here.
I am an interested citizen. I was here for the meeting to see.
Oh.
From last week with the.
Okay.
conversation a little later.
We're gonna be talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I the only one?
Please.
Qualifies as a citizen? Do you want me to stand up?
Why don't you sit right over there on the corner seat here? Kind of official?
Corner.
Yes.
Appropriate.
And if you could give us your name and address, we'd appreciate it.
Jennifer Euwer, P.O. Box 276, Parkdale. 7041.
Thank you.
And I'm running for the position, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You make this look like fun. I'm running for the position of County Commission Chair in Hood River County. So I wanted to come over here. I'll tell you who I am. Mostly I'd really like to hear from you guys about what your concerns are in your community. So short me, I'm a farmer in Parkdale. I've been farming a lot of years, and I'm also on the planning commission. I've been on the planning commission for about 10 years. And I also am on the co-op board of the largest co-op in Diamond's a pretty large, I don't know if you know what Diamond is, but Diamond Creek's pretty large co-op in Hood River. It's one of the big packing houses. And I'm on a co-op because I enjoy working with other people, and I think it's to our benefit. And as farmers, I think we stand to make more money working together. And those same principles apply to what I'd like to do as county commission chair. I think we're stronger together. I'm truly interested in what people have to say, and I've been on a lot of boards. Let's see. And as you guys probably know, and it's probably true here too, the big things on the agenda are affordable housing, clearly, and the budget, clearly, in River County, because we passed you guys probably know all this, we passed the safety levy in 2020, and it will need to be voted on again in 2025. And that has put the county in a place where we're more comfortable financially, and also there was COVID money. And so, but those have an end date. And I think right now, when the county is in a comfortable position, not comfortable, but when the county's not in crisis, I think is when we need to figure out what we're gonna do next. And if it were easy, I mean, I don't have a magic wand. If it were easy, people would have figured out an easier way in this state to fund counties. And you know what all of the constrictions are about tourism and property tax limitations and on and on. So I wasn't here to give you a civics lesson, but I would like to hear what you guys, if you have any questions, or what you think what is top on the agenda of Cascade Locks.
Top of the agenda for right now is policing, is security, safety. Security is our big. We have a number of things, but that's one of the things we're putting a lot of time into right now.
I see that on your agenda.
Mhm.
And you're thinking of having a sort of community. I just glanced at the part presentation.
We're just in the process
In the
of
process of
gathering ideas. So that's all we did a survey last year at a picnic, and we had about 100 people at the picnic, and one of the top things was increased police presence. People want to feel safe. You know, with COVID, everything has gone a little awry, but that's been out, things like that. So they're just ideas right now. We're in the process of that.
We have a contract with the Hood River County Sheriff for one position, one FTE for Cascade Locks. We're guaranteed 27 hours a week of patrol. And then because we also pay property taxes that support the Lane County Sheriff, they respond at other times when we need emergency assistance and those kinds of things. But what we're finding is the criminal element in town, which every town has, drug problems, they know when the cop's not in town. And so what we're trying to figure out is how can we improve the presence or the patrol or the neighborhood watch, or what is the best, most cost effective, because we don't have a lot of money to spend on that. And we're currently, next year will be $120,000 for that one full-time. If we want a second full-time duty officer, that's $135,000. So
The first one is 120.
Yes.
And the second one is another 135.
that's correct.
And so right now, what's it cost you to have 27 hours?
But we are at 112,000 this year, 120,000 next fiscal year.
That's not full time.
That is, they taught plant equipment, cop car, all of it is a full-time, it's 27 hours, but then 13 hours is travel time and report time that they do in the sheriff's office. We're guaranteed 27 hours in town
Per week?
per week. So
If we were to add that extra one, we're looking at $255,000
So currently it's 120 and it would be 255.
at 112.
yeah, and again, it would be,
Would that give you, if you had two, would you have one and then the other? So you
right,
have someone here all the time?
not all the time.
Not all the time.
But you don't have, River County Sheriff doesn't patrol the county 100% of the time anyway. So, but that's the contract we have with the county for law enforcement.
And it seems most of the problems are at night, late or early morning hours. So we want to try to focus there a little bit.
Yeah, that's the theft issues and those kinds of issues.
Do you guys get to control the 27 hours when they
No.
call?
We do not. And we're not law enforcement professionals. That's
Right, right. I just wondered,
Yeah.
so are they trying to target those hours when it's most important?
They're generally here on the weekends, every weekend, which is when we have tourists come. And they patrol, off hours fairly routinely. And they're trying to get to know the populace. They respond to the drug houses that we have. They've done actually fairly well in that realm for us. Crime isn't really increasing, it's just more visible. And social media makes it seem like it's expanding exponentially. Because we've got some very concerned citizens, Casey's one of them, that are shining the light on the issue. We've actually been able to decrease crime a little bit. It took us 6 years to get one squatter out of a house, but we finally did that. We've got 2 homes that were kind of the center of criminal activity. We finally got those people gone and those houses redeveloped back on the housing inventory market. So we're making some baby steps, but it takes a community and it takes a lot of time and effort and a lot of money. So
Yeah, if it were easy, it'd be solved.
if it was easy, I'd patent it and make a lot of money. I would suggest to you coming down if you got some time during the day and let me take you on a tour and show you what Cascade Locks is like. So you can get a feel for how we are now contributing to the county. During 2019, 50% of the growth of the county was in Cascade Locks. So
In housing?
in housing and population. And we're getting a lot of Hood River flight. It's expensive to develop in Hood River. Well, Cascade Locks is kind of catching up. It's now expensive to develop in Cascade Locks, but in 2015, 2016, 2017, when we built 100 houses, they were very affordable. We got some people that moved here from Hood River. People moved here from Portland. But I'll show you all of that. Don't call, make an appointment with me and I'll take you on a tour, show you how we're contributing
I
to the
did know
county.
that. I mean, I know some people who moved here. It seems like it's kind of a vibrant community, like young families. Talk to people who are working. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to, is there anything else pressing? I don't want to take it more time.
I would say that the high school we didn't have. I personally do not have children in school, but I would, if I did, I would have a problem with my child being commuted all the way to the river. I mean, if nothing else, we could open a high school there and the kids commute this way. But that's a big thing for a lot of community members. is the
I
high
know,
school.
it always has been. Unfortunately, I don't think that it's in the purview of the county. I think it's a school district thing, but I hear you because I think, I know that that's, I can understand that, to have your kids going to school.
Yeah, because it takes everything, we don't have basketball here, we don't have things for our kids to do because everything's in the river. So it's a big downfall.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question for you. I was just curious what your thoughts on the Heights area where they want to change the lanes. There seems to be a big debate on that. They're going to take away all the parking for a lot of all those businesses up there in the river.
Well, that's a city issue.
I was wondering, well, I just wanted to know.
Oh, but it's,
You're right.
I just was curious if you knew about it or.
You know, it's an interesting, I don't have a strong opinion about it. I just barely looked at the pictures of it. And it is a city decision and the county does encompass the city, but that will be a city decision. It won't be a county decision. But I haven't, I mean, I don't necessarily have a strong opinion about it, but I have been thinking about how people use their time and do they really go to errands as much as they, as they used to. With the order stuff. So, yeah, it's
I was just curious.
Yeah, I mean, everything is going the direction of people saying we need more bike lanes, which is great for people who bike. So, and I don't know if everybody thinks it's so great. But I am ready because I think that I really am interested in what everybody has, on both sides of it. I ran because someone pretty liberal and somebody very conservative both really encouraged me to. And I thought, well, if they both trust me to listen to both of them, then, because it's a nonpartisan position. And I don't think I would run for a partisan position. I think that I wanna, I wanna work towards getting along with people that we can politely disagree with. Because not everybody's gonna agree, but we need to be working towards stability. And I mean, I totally see stability, so I'm not saying it's not. So I don't need to take up any more of your time. May I leave you each a card? And if anybody would like a lawn sign, and you can look me up, I'll give you a little card and you can look me up on the phone.
Well, I listen in on your work sessions and stuff at times. So when I see an issue that involves Cascade locks, I will be,
You'll be there.
well, I'll be at least in Zoom.
Uh-huh. Oh. That's good to know that someone from Cascade Blocks is, I think that's one of the good things about Zoom. Not everything is good about Zoom, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't do Zoom.
You're doing Zoom right now.
But please get a hold of Gordon though and do come down and let him take you
I
around.
am a farmer. I'm sorry, I had to come straight from work, so.
That's good.
You're fine, you're just fine.
So I'm busy this time of year, but as soon as the election's over in May and the orchard thing. But right now. I'm around it. And today I was afraid I was gonna come with a big bump on my face because I spent the day with the honey board, my beekeeper. Corralled me into getting videos of the both of us with the blooms and the bees. And I wanted to be really, I didn't want to stoop to putting my bee veil on and open the hive, so. Oh, no.
You wouldn't have gotten me near
Well, we have to, they're the original essential workers.
it. Yeah.
Without them.
Yeah.
Right? Sure. Without them, I wouldn't have an itchy chin.
Be careful of the cord. Oop, thanks.
Okay, reports and presentation, city committees.
Have none?
Friends. Cascade Lodge Museum presentation.
We have Janice Crane with us. She's a friend of the city.
Yeah.
Friend of the city and a friend of the museum. So as most of our funders have gotten more and more interested in economic impact, we have started to put together more economic impact reports. And so what I have brought to you today is our tourism impact report from all of the operations that we've completed throughout the whole COVID pandemic. I do think I misquoted myself. I have been to one other city council meeting since 2020, but I think the most memorable one for me was when we had a combined meeting with the city and the port together in this room about 3 days before everything shut down, so. Yeah, so we've done a lot since that meeting. In that meeting, we were talking about having a mission and getting a website and all of the basics together, and since then we have gotten those basics together and done a lot more. Our museum was the first one to be open after pandemic closures in the Gorge. We opened on June 29th of 2020, so that was one of the cool things about having staff that didn't get laid off during that closure was that we were able to respond really quickly when things were allowed to open back up. During 2020, we saw 22% of our normal tourism foot traffic, which is to be expected during a pandemic. And last summer, we were back to 79% of normal. However, in the case of 2021, because we had raised the prices of admission, we actually had our highest admissions revenue ever in the history of the museum. We've also expanded our operating season, so we're now open from spring break through Halloween. Previously, it was open from May through September. So we're capturing more of that shoulder season visitation, that we're seeing an increase of that in general, with people being more willing to travel in the spring and in the fall. We've also increased the annual museum revenue. It's gone from $25,000 in 2019 to $149,000 last year. So we are rocking and rolling in there. we've gotten to build relationships over the course of these 2 years. One of the good things about Zoom is that we can talk to people nationwide about what we're doing here. And so we have been able to get relationships with statewide and nationwide granting organizations. We've also gone through a couple of different rotating exhibits and installed a new permanent exhibit. The rapid changes of the Columbia is all about the Cascade box, which the construction and the operations and the decommissions of the boats and all that good stuff. And that opened last July. We also have published a book. So Images of America, Cascade Box and Canal will be coming out from Arcadia Press on August 8th. So you can be on the lookout for that this summer. And that is once again about the Cascade Box and Canal. So you'll see lots and lots and lots of pictures of people building things and the old rapids and all Sternmullers. And it was really fun to put it together. We've also doubled our membership. One of my favorite projects that took place during COVID was I got to organize and manage the Columbia Gorge Museums Pass. This was a new program at the time. So we put together a revenue sharing program between 9 museums originally and the Columbia Gorge Tourism Alliance. So we all worked together to make these little punch cards where you could go and visit all the museums. And that is coming back this year with 12 museums on it. So it's a really fun opportunity to get to work with other museums. And it's one of those, rising tides raise all boats kind of deals, rising rocks raise all boats. We've also brought the American Cruise Lines passengers into the museum. We have an agreement with them that all the people on the boat can come visit the museum as part of docking here. That was a really significant part of our income last summer. And we're looking forward to cruise ships being able to return eventually whenever they figure all that out. So. We've also become an Oregon Cultural Trust tax credit eligible organization. And what that is that's a statewide program where if you make a donation to the museum and you make a donation to the Cultural Trust of an equal amount, you get that amount back on your taxes as a tax credit. And so there are thousands of organizations across the state that do this, and we're one of them. So we're now on this statewide list where people can get their money back a little bit. We also have started to collect a little bit more visitor data so that we can, optimize our operations and make sure that we have info to bring to you when we do these economic impact reports. So just to recap what we're doing this summer, we are open Thursday through Monday. We're closed Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 11 to 5. Admission is up to $5 for adults and $4 for seniors over the age of 60. $3 for youth, and kids 5 and under are free. We also have local admission discounts because people locally should have access to their own histories. So local admission is just $1, and our local students prepay all the way through college and get in for free. For upcoming programming and content, this year is the 160th birthday of the Oregon Pony. So that little train down in the Marine Park into Cascade Box 160 years ago this year. So that'll definitely be in the theme for one of our summer events for sure, one of the pony party. All right, so the city of Cascade Box supports the museum in a lot of different ways. The museum was founded as a city commission, and the Friends of the Cascade Box Historical Museum have been slowly kind of filling in that space management for that since about 2015. But the city gives us a lot. You do financial support for our visitor services. You give us the in-kind donation of our utilities, and the city also owns the collection and has insurance over the museum's collection. And we also get periodic grants from the Tourism Commission. So as far as the direct financial support goes, this fiscal year, you guys budgeted $20,000 to support the museum. And what we've done with that is we've leveraged it with the Union Pacific Foundation to get some capacity building funding. And we took that and we made it into a second full-time position at the museum. So we've got a person down there who is doing mission-centric work, and that's her whole job. So she is doing the visitor services, she is taking care of the people who come into the museum, and she's also taking care of the collection. And just by the way, what I do is all of the other stuff, so the business management.
Everything else.
Business management, fundraising, all of the coming to city council meetings, that's what I do, so. But by having 2 trained museum professionals in the building, we've been able to get really efficient. So there's not downtime between visitors because she can be working on, cataloging the collection. She's got 753 of the objects cataloged online. So if you go to our website, you can click through and see the different things that are at the museum. She has scanned all thousands and thousands of photographs that are in the museum, and those are slowly getting online as well. So people can do search for those and look through and see the whole family photos and all those fun boat photos and all that stuff. And then as far as our collection stewardship goes, as I mentioned, we've gone ahead and cataloged a lot of the objects, and we've been receiving grants in support of archiving materials. So there's a lot of different types of museum-specific materials that we go through. Like storage needs to be with like acid-free paper, and we need to be making sure that the sun isn't degrading the photographs, and we have to go hide in boxes and digitize them so that if they have something wrong with them and they are degrading, that we're still capturing that information for the good of the long term. One of the other processes that we are going through is complying with the Native American Grave Protection and Repatriation Act, and that is a federal law that has museums go through their collections and make sure that any Native American objects that we have didn't come from grave sites, and if they did, that we return them to the tribes. It's the right thing to do regarding those objects, and it's what we have to do. So we're making sure that we're getting in line with that. It's been around since the 90s, and we're getting it. We're doing it now. So. The museum also is planning a capital campaign. We are attempting to purchase the old Damon hardware store building on Wanapa. We are ready to do that whenever the owner is ready to move forward. So we have secured a lot of funding for that. We've got some pre-commitments for about half of the purchase cost of the building. And we've also built up a year of monthly payments and reserves. So now the really fun stuff, the tourism economic impact report. So this is what I really came to talk to you about. So just as one of the things that I've gotten to learn a lot about since coming to this museum is exactly how visitor centers impact rural communities. I spent a lot of time talking to the folks at Travel Oregon about this and learning, and I'm here to help you guys understand that too. So in 2018, they did a big impact survey where they looked at what visitors who came to welcome centers were spending in rural communities and what visitors who didn't go to welcome centers were spending in rural communities. So the visitors who go to welcome centers and visitor centers are more likely to stay twice as long and spend way more money than visitors who don't get to go to a visitor center and get engaged with the community that they're in. So what they're showing is that welcome centers generate approximately $35 in tourism spending for every dollar of their operating budgets. So it's a good thing to have a visitor center in town. It helps with tourism. And then those visitors will also stay longer and visit more locations just based on getting to know somebody in the community and get those recommendations and have access to those materials. So by adding those substantial visitor services to the museum, we've been able to streamline our in-town visitor experience. So people come see us and they get to know, like, oh, where should I go for lunch? Where can I go camping? Where can I do this? And we can keep people in town by telling them to do stuff right here and not referring them to go anywhere else. And it's also helping to have consistent and accessible information for people. One of the things that we've gotten to do is to confirm that is working for us too. So it's great that Travel Oregon has this report, but now we also have our own data. So we are seeing that 13% of credit card users at the museum are repeat customers. And so we're also collecting verbal confirmation from people. We're asking when they come in, oh, have you been to the museum? Have you been to Cascade Box? And we track that. So we're looking at about 20% of our customer base as people who have visited either Cascade Box or the museum before. So we are seeing repeat visitors and we are getting those tourism dollars to come back. And then as I said, museums are a $50 billion industry in the United States as of 2017, and they've only grown. They had a $585 million impact in a weekend. And I attempted to go through and analyze exactly what our percentage of that is. This is not a perfect calculator for us because it is based on events and so like artistic performances, but it's the best that we can do with what we have available, because, I mean, I'm not an economist. So what we're seeing is that the museum's contribution to the local economy and our visitor expenditures are coming together to support more full-time jobs than the museum is doing on its own. So it's more than just the two of us sitting down at the museum and taking care of the objects and taking care of the people. Our visitors are also buying gas and buying lunch and keeping people employed around town. So we are looking at supporting about 3.2 full-time equivalent employees in town. Just with our visitors and at this relatively low expenditure rate. And so since your 2019 investment in the museum, we've doubled our economic impact. So if you look at the 2018, 2019, that impacted 55,000, we're up to 105,000 for that impact just year to date, and that's not even for the full fiscal year. 51% of our revenue comes from outside of Cascade, so we are bringing money in from outside of the community. And with your continued support, we can continue to increase our impact. I got to attend a Travel Oregon meeting for this upcoming year to talk about like how COVID has changed the tourism economy and what the forecast is looking like for moving forward. And they are showing anticipated leisure tourist volume to be back to 2019 levels this summer by Q3. And they are also seeing reports that show that the room residencies, so people booking hotel rooms, has been back to 2019 levels since July of 2021. So tourism, leisure tourism is making a comeback. Business tourism will be a little bit slower. And then one last little note that I think is good for everyone to know is that as many of you have heard, the historic highway is going to start requiring ticketing this summer. We've reached an agreement with ODOT to be the eastbound in-person pickup location for same-day tickets. So what those are is they are free and they are flexible. You can just use them the same day. They don't have that hour restriction on them. And you can pick them up at the museum during operating hours. So that'll help with local access with people who want to go. And that'll also help with people who just aren't like smartphone people who don't want to try to get on Recreation back up and figure that out, who don't think they're going to get there in the same hour. So there, yeah, so there is that option available as well. And if and when they do get to move forward with that project, will be the pickup for that. So, yeah. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, or I can also stop monologuing and you guys can move on with your agenda.
I just want to say great job.
Thank you.
Really, really good job. And good job at the bingo. How did you end up at the fundraiser at the bingo?
Oh, we did well. We got almost $1,000 out of that. So
That was good. Yeah, that was good. Well, you're doing a great job. Really good job. I like all your numbers and yeah, just really a lot of good stuff. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to go to the museum meetings and hear all these good numbers. You know, my mother was treasurer there at the museum for years. And when I show her the report and she looks at the bank balance on it, she's just amazed. Just the museum's great by it for so many years. Since Janice has been there, and it's just awesome. So we appreciate your work.
if she hadn't sustained it for so many years, it wouldn't have been there for me to build on. So I appreciate her too.
I have a question. The American Cruise Lines, are they still docking here? Because I've seen them, you know, because they have the buses that do the A4, but they're not docked here, so.
Port and the Native American tribes and American Cruise Lines are all trying to figure out exactly how to move forward with that. And I don't have any information about it, except for the American Cruise Lines paid their fee to us this year, so they are planning to bring people eventually.
Okay.
Yeah, but all good. You want to share what's going on with the port and American Cruise Lines?
I'm not going to be there. Well, available. Good evening.
There you go. Good evening.
We are in the middle of negotiating an amendment for American Cruise Lines. Nothing really more solid than that I can share with you tonight.
Thank you.
But do we know, Olga, do we know that they won't be landing here this summer, is that correct?
That is not yet clear.
Oh,
If
okay.
it will be landing here this summer, it will be during the season in the summer and at the locks. But the availability of the locks may be very limited.
Okay,
So if they are, it's going to be on a very limited basis.
okay.
Is the problem because of the fishing?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
So that answers that for you then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done.
And it was nice to see the stern wheeler back in town.
So we're back, so we start running Friday.
Friday
Yep.
tours.
Yep.
Terrific.
Weren't they gonna have a bus go from here down there to bring people back for when it comes back? I mean, they have a bus that comes here to unload people that got on in Portland.
Yeah, you have to get on, so you have to get down to Portland.
Yeah. Just why can't they have a bus here?
Because we want to keep the boat here.
Well, they've got to,
Of course, I'd have to.
they would do that if enough people wanted to park here. I'm sure they would bus them down there. Right now, what's the easiest thing for them is everybody to show up down there and they bus them back.
Maybe next year.
They would have, look, I got there like I left here at 5:30 to get down, so I think we left at 9. So they'd have to be here pretty early in the morning to catch a bus to Portland. Which, you're right, it could work either way, that's,
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'll have to get to ride with you next year.
well, what you need to, Brenda takes me in. But that'd be a good question of the spirit, you should ask him as a council person, because that makes perfect sense to me to try to, because they wind up here anyway. They wind up here and have their, and customers that are from the gorge or from this area, they would rather pick the bus up here and get in there, I'm sure. And then when the boat's here, they jump in their cars and go home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hit them up on that.
I'm sure you could coordinate something with CAB.
Yep.
Anyway, I think it's a good question.
Cats in my doghouse.
Oh,
I'll get that. in-
Later.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. We'll wait till then. All right, where are we at here then? Review the crime mitigation. Cascade Locks.
After our,
Discussion.
yes, after our last council meeting, Rob Peterson emailed you some potential ideas to increase or expand law enforcement. And I just presented that information to you for your discussion. Information.
And it appears to me what everything in here is for, is not to say to require you to have a camera. Everything in here is, if you'd like to become part of a group that does this, so that law enforcement
Can have access to
can
your
have
camera.
access. That's what all of this seems to be. So it's a voluntary thing of people. who
That's
may-
correct.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, so that's what he put in here, the Cascade Locks. So what we would do is only get behind informing citizens. If you wanted to help law enforcement out in this community, is if you put your, if you do have cameras, if you'd allow them to be able to, then they know who they can get a hold of, who has a camera, and go look at that camera in case of an incident. That's what the whole process is about.
But we have to have Hood River County Sheriff's buy-in to the
Yes.
process.
a lot of people do have cameras in town now, more so than ever because of the crime.
So I would assume that the discussion we like to have is to put out to citizens if they'd be in, because that's what it is, it's going to be an ask. And correct, before, I guess, before you even ask the question, is the sheriff, would the sheriff be interested in being part of that kind of a program?
Isn't this kind of similar to the next door that the sheriff was?
No,
talking
next
about?
door is strictly a social media page. And our next door, the more active participants are actually in Stevenson and Carson.
Mhm.
We're part of that geographic area. But that's just, it's a Facebook group.
This is more of a neighborhood app. It's called and
Yeah.
associated with Ring.
Yeah.
There are discounts that with Amazon, there's wherever there's.
Amazon.
Yeah, and there is a possibility of getting some money through security grants to help maybe the city contribute to the purchase of these.
Offset the cost.
Yeah, and they would, so there's a discount to the homeowner.
So this is a discussion, but
Yeah.
along with discussion, we'd like, I'm sure this council wants to move things ahead, if they have the opportunity to move things ahead. Do you want Gordon to ask the sheriff about where he'd be interested? I mean, that's the first thing you're gonna have to do, is ask the sheriff if he's interested in us pursuing this type of program.
I would think it's a good thing to pursue, because if the sheriff's in line with it, then even if you didn't want to participate in it, but those who do want to participate in it would give us more security than what we currently have.
So are we all, is there enough on board here to say, have Gordon
Yeah.
ask?
Yeah.
Julie, where are you at on that?
Sometime.
On that, I assume that means.
Yes, okay,
Thank you. So,
all right.
so on this subject, because we can't move any further ahead on it, and there's no sense in moving further ahead on it until we get something from the sheriff. So, okay, so we're moving ahead there. There's discussions about all of that. One of the things was the signs for block.
Oh, for the
Do we want?
neighborhood watch.
Yeah,
signs.
so do we want to acquire neighborhood watch signs and put them in places around town? I mean, that was one of the suggestions, that's.
It can't hurt, even the sheriff said that it is a good deterrent as far as, that
So,
way, people are watching.
I
The
think-
more that we do to make those who do things uncomfortable here. We want to make them uncomfortable.
so do we want Gordon then to at least take a look at, I don't want to buy something that's gonna cost, it's gonna be way out of line. Can we have Gordon take a look at what a neighborhood watch sign
Yeah.
would cost us and then what we can do on our own if we did that is we could put them on, and it's okay with us to put them on some of our telephone poles, right?
Yes, that's our easement. We put that
Yeah,
in.
so if we did it, we just put them on telephone poles in certain areas. And I assume set them up so that we could take them down and move them to other, I mean,
I don't know what they're like, so
Yeah.
it could be.
but you can find, are we good with Gordon taking a look at that?
Seeing how much they cost.
Yeah,
Yeah, Julie, are you okay with the neighborhood watch, looking at neighborhood watch signs?
I'm good with that. I think it's a good idea.
my only concern is if there's no organization behind it.
That's where it's at.
You know, because we don't have a neighborhood watch group. We don't have the phone number to call. I want to see what's on the signs and is there a number that we can call, refer them to? Do we put the sheriff's office number on? Well, I want to get some more
Yeah,
information.
because the neighborhood watches, I mean, it can be as easy as, I'm watching my neighborhood, I make sure that if I hear noises, I get up and, I mean, so it doesn't, I don't think there's a number on it. I think you can go as cheap or as expensive as you want on the side.
We'll take a
But
look and
I
I'll bring that
understand
back
what
to
you're
you.
saying.
Julie, you got a question?
Yeah, they're definitely citizens watching. So they're neighbors watching neighborhoods.
Yeah.
We're all driving around.
Okay. So
I would like some more information.
get some more information on
I mean,
signs.
I would like to know the logistics of it, like, how do you start an event? How does it, you have
Yeah.
a meeting, and there's,
Where are you gonna put them?
where are you gonna put them?
Yeah.
And so to be,
This may take me a little bit. I will get that information back to you.
So another thing we were discussing were a couple of cameras ourselves. I know Pete had mentioned at least because one of the concerns of the sheriff was Gordon mentioned local crime, but the sheriff said a lot of crime happens because we're on a easy on, easy off freeway, and we got the bridge. So both sides of the river, we're easy to come into and easy to get back out of. And people some who are organized, some who are not organized, we're a target because of that. So Pete's suggestion was cameras on either end of the town. So same thing. I know it's a discussion, but if there's anything we can move ahead on now, are we interested in looking at cameras or are we more interested right now? Let's just stick with trying to find out whether, because it may be the home camera may be what we're really after. So you want to hold off on the camera stuff and see what happens from.
Well, it's not just cameras. You gotta have a whole network, computer network system. You gotta have the storage system. You gotta have retrieval, whole thing. Where in the ring, that all that's done on their own. The
Okay.
the
So
volunteers.
you want to wait on us for cameras?
Yeah, let's
Wait on that? Okay,
keep it down to,
okay.
and Rob, but he's really great on,
he can figure out all of that stuff.
He can figure it all out, volunteering, but
He can
can
figure
kind of,
all of what?
he's the tech guy. He can figure out the logistics of the camera.
Oh, is that right?
How to, yeah.
So we got somebody right here, check to
He's
make it
very-
happen.
He's very good.
Hey.
So he can at least, I don't know if he can tell us how to do it, so.
But, again, for the sake of discussion, it looks like we want to hold off on it, move on the things, couple things we got here. And is there anything else that we had?
The speed things, I would like to see them in the budget.
You have adopted a goal of putting the speed signs on there. Now, the question is, can we fit into the budget with all the other things that we want to do in the budget? And we're still
So
working.
you're
on that.
looking into that?
Yeah, the price has gone up. It was $3,800.
Speed sign, is that what?
No, actually, what I'm looking at those is the like the speed sign going into Stevenson. It said, here's the speed limit. Those are now $5,000 a piece.
Yeah.
But we can get it so you can program
On the
it.
bridge?
Like on the bridges, yeah, there's 5,000, but you can get it programmed so that it'll flash, it'll be a green smiley face if you're going under the speed limit, or
It does make you slow down.
It makes you aware, sometimes you're not even aware.
sometimes it makes people slow down.
Tosses out the spike strip.
What a great idea. Can I write that down? Yes, and then we can start buying tires.
Anyway,
So,
so
all right.
in
let's-
terms of our, that is part of the process, and they're gonna be from. So anything else here that you want to go over on? Security here and the people who do drive around, is what we do have, we're aware of at least two, and we don't want to mention who or whatever
Right.
is doing it, but is there anything we want to do to organize that process, or are we just good with letting them do their thing? And because I assume what they're going to do if they see something not right, they're going to call in to the sheriff's line, I assume.
So I asked our insurance company the question,
Okay,
and the answer is
don't start something like that.
No, because then you're sanctioning them out there doing law enforcement, and if they get hurt, you are liable. And-
Okay, well.
And it's a great idea, nice
Yeah,
idea,
yeah.
but they're doing it as volunteers on their own. It's not organized, it's not subsidized by the city in any way.
Okay, because I know some of the stuff in here was.
Some of it can be done.
Speaking to some of that too in some of these.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
It's,
But our insurance company is saying.
you would be open a can
We
of
don't
worms.
like that idea.
Yeah,
Well, and not to say they are, but some people can get. Not to say ours are, but some people get a little overzealous with the, and like I say, put themselves in.
put themselves at risk,
Yeah,
and that's,
because
we don't want to encourage any citizen to do that in any case.
we love heroes, but we have to be careful.
We're
We don't
not
want to lose
paying their
our,
medical
don't want to lose our
bills.
heroes.
I have a couple of questions that aren't, there's more safety than crime. In doing the garage sale flags and stuff, on, the road that goes up on the hill and it's one
Like
way.
some-
Would that be too hard to put like some arrows on the pavement, because you don't necessarily see do not enter in one way?
It is not one way.
It's not one way.
It says that.
No, it says no parking.
It says no
No,
parking
there-
between the signs.
There is a one way and there's a do not enter on the loop.
Oh, on the loop at Wasco Creek.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
On the loop,
On the
yes,
loop.
Yes,
yes.
And you don't necessarily see that, so I can see where it's very easily for someone to go the wrong way.
I don't think I've ever seen that down there.
Yeah, because there's a do not enter on one side and on the other side it says one way, because I was questioning it, and I was
Yeah.
told, no, it's not one way.
No,
Well, then we went back.
well, Kathy lives down-
I live down there, so it
It
is,
is.
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
Do you get people go on the wrong way all the time?
Very rarely, very rarely. If they do, we're like, you're not.
Oh, yeah.
They stick out.
They're out in
And
force.
then all the neighbors, like,
Right.
yeah, but no, not hardly, maybe the UPS guys.
Or maybe the people that don't drive there every day, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's pretty good.
yeah.
So one of the, collaborating with the port, what are the chances? Because they already have they're paying a security person. I know a lot of the person's job is to track, make sure everybody are paying for their parking. That's kind of how that person gets funded, but that person travels all over the city, all through the port properties. Should we have any kind of discussion with the port to see if we could kick in a little bit of money with their person to help work things, or is that a good or a bad idea?
Well, the problem with that is it's not policy, it would be procedure. You know, what portion of we are going to be paying for his salary and benefits? How are we going to measure that? Who's going to manage it? That's just a pretty technical, complex issue when you have two entities supporting one position. Butch had an idea with the Hood River Security, and maybe if we have a combined port and city commission, we could do something where, you know, the port has their component and we have the Hood River Security patrolling, maybe not 8 hours a night, 365 days a year, but you know, some smaller amount to make it more affordable. But again, that's $100,000, $120,000, $102,000, which we aren't going to have in the budget. But
So you're looking into that, that's something you're looking into
Yeah.
to help us out with this whole thing.
Yeah, and when I was at the conference in Hermiston, I talked to the Boardman Police Chief, and he said that the port, there is federal money there for port security to help them pay for patrols. But then it'd be up to the port to get that one.
and the Port of Boardman's like, Port of Morrow is like 10 times the size of.
They're rich. They don't need federal dollars.
But they always seem to get them.
Yeah.
So is that something we should pursue?
Yeah. If we go in joint with the port, well, then there's an avenue for the port to collect
Okay.
money for them to put into it.
Okay, so how do we need to pursue that? And we're talking here, so we're talking about things we can do.
I think we need a joint port and city meeting. So we can,
Talk about that specific thing.
yeah.
Do we want to,
Now, I talked to Jess about a joint meeting and he was in favor of it.
okay, so are we good to a joint meeting with the port to discuss this very specific thing?
Yeah.
Okay, see if you can. Julie, yeah, I got some, Julie's good.
Any particular date?
It seems to me we're trying to move this thing ahead, so that for us, the sooner the better. So I don't care what, for me, I don't mind what the date is.
Olga probably knows about
Budget
that.
coming to. Now, would it be like, when we met with them, would we be just talking about, could we talk about security versus a sheriff? I mean, if the money's available, and it's like 30,000 more for a sheriff than a security, I would think that 30,000 more is well worth it for an actual police.
Well, that would have to be a discussion for the council when the funding is known.
Let's find out what you get with the 100,000 or something.
Yeah.
We know we're gonna get, we're only gonna get, you're not gonna get 4, that's what I don't get. They said 40.
But no,
They
you're
said
not
full
gonna
time
get
is gonna
40.
be, you're not
No,
gonna
you
get
only
40
get
hours.
27,
Yeah, you can get 20.
because they've got to have travel time
They can
and
do more than
service.
security.
Sure, but you should probably find out what that $100,000 means, though.
Yeah.
It may need more than what they can get to us.
Jeremiah, do you have a comment? Oh, we're just. All right. Yeah, no, he's just putting a thumbs up. That's, he didn't want to put the.
I finished dinner, so I felt like I should be back on.
Okay, so Olga and I will get together and try and figure
Okay.
out when we're gonna have a joint meeting.
Okay. Thanks for looking into that. Yeah, really, I'm glad you're going those things.
Yeah, the conference, I had numerous conversations with towns like Malin, Reagan, which has 800 people, but they have a police force. But different circumstances, they have 2 big companies down there that are helping them pay for it. You know, and that they're also subcontracting to smaller communities around them to help pay for it, where we don't have smaller towns around us.
We are the smaller.
But we have, I grew up here,
Yeah,
so I've seen, we've had a number of police forces here, even in my lifetime. And they always turn into big, once a person is a policeman here and is living here and take care of this town, it becomes very, it had always become very political. And then they don't laugh, they get upset with, they either create a problem or a problem goes after them. And it just turns into a tough thing. I look at it as, I just as soon have somebody non-biased come into the community. They don't have a tie to anybody or anything. They're just trying to do law enforcement
yeah.
and sticking with that, because historically, I've always seen them drug into the political issues or power struggles or whatever in the town, and they lose out. So we've turned them over here whenever we've tried to do that. Doesn't mean it, it doesn't mean it can't work. I'm just saying in the past, it's gotten pretty tough.
Well, what I found out is that these small towns that have police forces, they have revenue streams that we do not have.
Yeah. And we have looked at what it's gonna cost. It's cost prohibitive. So we need to keep doing the things and asking the questions, the things that we're doing. I think we're on the right track, frankly, for what's gonna help us out here.
So as the port businesses grow, as we get more electric sales growing and we get more revenues for more electric uses, that frees up more monies in the general fund, which will allow us to expand our law enforcement, but it's a gradual growth. It's not a overnight turnkey fix.
So have we missed anything that we needed to? go over on this thing? Any more comments, any more? Don't see a hand up out there, but it feels like that's good.
We're good.
So I guess we're good, we'll move on to the next.
Thank
next
you.
thing. The power outage answering service.
One of the questions you had last time is what can we do for emergency? Thank you, Jim. What we could do to have a little better communication when we have power outages. I contacted the Oregon Municipal Electric Utilities providers, of which we are one. I contacted the people in the gorge, the utilities in the gorge, to see what they use. It's going to range anywhere from $150 to maybe $350 a month to have a call center answering service 24/7. So our staff would call them and give them the information. The people who are calling in reporting outages calls this, a live person answers the phone and gets the contact with the person on call on our staff, and the communication goes back. We don't know yet when it's going to be available. The power's going to be back on, or it could be 2 hours, could be 4 hours, but that information goes back to the call center. So then every time somebody calls in, they get the same consistent answer. So the question then is, that's a relatively minor cost to improve the coordination of information flowing to and from. And it stops our guys on the ground from getting 40, 50 calls saying, when's the power going to be back on? And he's got to answer those phone calls instead of addressing the power outage. So it makes sense to me to do something like this answering service. The question for you, and right now, to me, cost is not prohibitive of that. But the question is, who do we get? Security Services Northwest kind of jumped out at me first because Canby Utility recommend them. But Skamania used them at the time that I was looking at their website. But Skamania has since left Security Services Northwest and has gone with which one? Cooperative Response Center. Now they're out of Austin, Minnesota, but Hood River, Northern Wasco, and Skamania PUD all use the same one. And we generally sometimes have gorge-wide outages because we're all on BPA, and at least the Cascade Locks and Hood River are connected with the same line. So there is some sense that maybe going with Cooperative Response Center makes sense so that we can coordinate information among the utilities in the gorge. Or we can just, Skamania Services Northwest is familiar with the territory because they used Stevenson. So they're familiar with what we're doing. There's physician services that Forest Grove Power and Light likes out of Portland. But I'm not going to call physician services if I got power outage. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's the same, it's a number, and we'll just be publishing the number and people will call that number. But do you have, one, should we go in this direction? And two, if we should go in this direction, do you have a feeling for, do we want a local provider or do we want a regional coordination?
Is there a big cost difference or?
Again, it all depends on our call volume. The cheapest I found was $150 a month, and that guarantees a certain call level. If calls go above that, if we have an outage, then we pay per call. So it's like $150 plus, it's not extreme.
Right.
One of the other ones starts at $350, but that was like a Springfield Utility Board, but they've got 8,000 customers. We have 800. So the cost is going to be, the advantage outweighs the cost in this particular case.
What is wrong with the reverse, is it reverse 911 that we can use? Where you get the text messages, if you sign up for it, we can find out what's happening.
But we have to initiate that with the county. We call the county dispatch, which will put this on the reverse 911 and everything goes out. But not everybody signed up for that.
That would be their problem then, right?
Yeah, but we're still going to get the phone calls, and they're still going to call the emergency number, which right now goes to the guy on call. And he's trying to answer the phone and answer their questions or get the information out of them, and he's trying to repair it. So let's free that employee up so that he makes one call to the call center, and the call center handles all of those calls with the information, the latest information that the employee is relaying to the call center. And then the call center and their people have all the information. They've got our county maps. They know, if we could talk about areas where the power is out, they would have all the information that they could then relay to every caller that comes in and not bother the on-call staff.
I would think, I don't know, that we would let people know that if they want the communication about power outages, since this is a concern, that they sign up for it. Because, I mean, although it doesn't seem like much, even $350 a month, that's $4,200 a year.
But the issue is, we have to initiate the 911, and if my guy is out there on a Saturday night at 4 a.m. in the morning, then he's got to call Kathy, who would call the 911 center, and she's not on duty at 4 a.m. in the morning. This call service, it's one number. Everybody calls the same number to either give information or receive the information. And if there's a power white outage, or we can always use the reverse 911 because we're already paying for that. It's $1,000 a year, but it's not. I think less than 40% of our population is signed up on it. But again, you're right. They need to sign up for it.
I think that if we're going to do this, if this was something that we're going to do, then we wouldn't have reverse 911. I don't see the sense in both.
Reverse 911 is not for just power outages. It's for whatever. Yeah.
Right, and this could be too.
No, this is strictly power.
Yeah, well, I don't think so, but I'm not going on.
I think there's a mix of individuals out here that, I always think of my mom who has a flip phone. She is not gonna do the emergency thing, but if she had a number she could call, that would work for her. And I know we have lots of individuals out here, I think, that would utilize both services.
Well, let me do this. Let me call Security Services Northwest and Cooperative Response Center and get a quote and see what that would cost us and what the advantages are between those two services.
That would be great.
So are we gonna leave this as a discussion, or do we want to put that in the action? Do we want to have, do you want to just keep discussing this?
Let's, if I get the information, then I can always bring it back as an action item. Which one of these do you want to go to? And one of the options will be not to. But I don't have that information yet.
I thought, wasn't Pete gonna get with you on something that he thought would work?
Google Voice.
Yeah, he talked about Google Voice. But again, who's going to staff it? It's a people question. And these
So
people,
Google Voice is still stuck with,
yeah,
somebody has to staff
yeah.
it. Okay.
Well, somebody's got to call in and monitor
So who's gonna
it.
call these people to let them know that we have an outage? They're not just gonna have us on.
Well, the outage,
The line.
no. What happens is the power outage goes out in my house. And I call and say, hey, the power's out. I call the emergency number that we already have. Then they contact the on-call person, which hopefully when I get full staffed again, it rotates between the three people. And that on-call person then marshals the resources, figures out what the problem is, and they call the answering service back. So that it says, this is what the problem is, this is where the problem is, this is how long we think it's going to be out. And everybody else who calls the number is access to a live person that says, oh, this is where you are, this is where the information or the power outage is, and this is when it'll be back on. And so that is, right now, we have an emergency number that goes directly to a paging system that pages our employee. And they're busy answering 30, 40 phone calls when they should be out there assessing what the problem is.
I would think we have an office person doing that rather than a lineman.
But we don't. We don't, because most often these power outages are in the middle of the night, middle of a storm, and they're not in here. These people in Minnesota aren't going to be impacted by a storm in downtown Cascade Locks. They'll be there.
And if it's 100 and stuff, we're not paying benefits, we're not paying.
We're already paying the benefits.
No, she's talking about the office person, the staffers.
Right, but we already are paying employees and stuff benefits, so.
Yeah, but I don't pay my staff to come here in the middle of the night.
They're most of them probably on salary.
No, they're all hourly. And I'd have to pay them, overtime and everything else.
It would far outweigh the cost.
Like $150.
And I don't see what it costs, because,
Okay, but I will go and take those two and see if they can give me a quote. Okay, thank you.
Anything else on that? Well, at least we're gonna have it, right? Yeah, we're gonna have a second one. Okay. Administrator report.
It's a short one page. And the lead item is Mayor Tom Cramblett. Did you know you were doing this?
I did.
Okay. He's gonna be at
I
West.
didn't know you do.
Oh, man, I'm a chamber
You
member.
know everything.
Mayor Cramlett will be a guest at the April 27th meeting at Tanny's Coffee Shop in the College Square area, 303 Northeast Hogan Drive, Suite C in Gresham from 7:38 to 8:38 to give an update on all things happening in Cascade Lots of the West Columbia Gorge Chamber.
All the good things.
Yeah. Secondly, we signed up for Invoice Cloud to do online payments. We have had a terrible time balancing the books with the payments that Invoice Cloud has taken. And we've been working for 7 months on trying to get this program to work and work right for us. And it just has not happened. And so I fired them. And we had a 3-year contract and they wanted to enforce the 3-year contract, but I could fire them based on the breach of service. And since they have caused our books to be out of balance, I called that a breach of service. The president of the company sent me an email and said to give us another chance. I said, no, you've had 7 chances. I outlined like 45 different service calls that we made to them. And sometimes they haven't gotten back to them. They took a payment in January and posted it in February, a customer payment, and they didn't tell us about it. And so when we got our bank statements, we're short in January and we're long in February, and we couldn't figure it out. So we've decided to go with Express Bill Pay. That will begin May 4th. So if you use Invoice Cloud to pay your bill, don't do it this month. Wait until we get you information on the Express Bill Pay. Yes, so don't do it at the beginning of the next day. Yeah, don't use that. You will be getting an email from us. Everybody who has signed up for Invoice Cloud, will be getting an email saying, don't use it this month.
Can we make it inactive? So if somebody.
I've taken the link off you did that today? Yeah, we took the link off the page and we're sending an email out to all of our users that have that to say, please don't pay your bill using Invoice Cloud. Please wait and sign up on Express Bill Pay after May 4th. So that's coming. To remind you, budget training is on Wednesday, May 11th at 6:30 for those of you who may be new to the budget process. And the first budget committee meeting, hopefully the only budget committee meeting, will be May 18th at 6:30. The annual fire hydrant inspection program has been completed. There are only a couple of issues, a couple of hydrants leak. Only one is not operative and we're trying to figure out why. So.
What is that? Is it Dry Creek where we've been having all the challenge water pressure problems?
There's no hydrants up there. No.
Yeah, there is.
Up to end in Dry Creek?
Yeah, right at the road makes a corner to the left.
That's the one.
Yeah, well.
It's
a hydrant.
and it's on an 8-inch line. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on an 8-inch line. Speaking of Dry Creek, before you ask, we're trying. Oh, stop it. We're trying to figure out where to locate the power source for the lift station, pump station. And we're having, we had a survey crew up there and they located 2 possible locations and we're trying to determine which one's better. We're still trying to get out for contract a bid. Because it's going to be less than $50,000, we're just going to go straight to Crestline and ask them to do the work. We may get a couple of informal bids, but we don't have to go through the formal bid, putting it in the Daily Journal of Commerce because the amount's so small. We still hope to get that done in May. So that's coming. Council meetings, we have this new software. There's a couple of issues that we still need to address, but I think, Julie, was it better to understand and respond?
It was a lot better.
Yeah, so I just have to figure out the focus. I'm fuzzy. And like and share us on Facebook.
All right, thank you. Hey, Mayor and City Council comments.
First of all, thank you to staff, as always, putting together these amazing packets. I know they are very organized, so we always appreciate that. Thank you, Janice, for coming and talking. You're doing an amazing job, and I love all your numbers and your information, and I'm excited and I'm really excited to see the book. And I forgot your first name.
Casey.
Casey, thank you, Casey, for coming. And really, it's nice to see citizens coming and joining the meeting. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Brenda, thank you. Smash a good job on organizing. That was Brenda organized the garage sale here in town for everybody. And she went around and put the stakes in and everything. And it was just, everyone was happy. They did a good job. I heard nothing but good feedback.
She got great weather for it. I don't know how you did that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, and then thank you to the gal that came and spoke as well. So I really appreciate her coming. Jennifer, I appreciate her coming on as well. So that's it.
Brenda.
Yeah, I would like to say thank you to staff and everyone for getting everything together and being here. Thanks to Janice for your presentation and great job. And then to the residents and stuff that actually committed and participated in the 30th annual citywide garage sale, thank you guys. It was a success. The weather was great. Everybody seemed to have a good time. And I think it's going to end up being like this big community event where neighbors are visiting with neighbors and getting to know each other and all that. And that, I think, just warmed my heart to see people out there and just engaging in their community and, you know, all that. So I'm grateful for that. And then I had a couple things that I wanted to bring up. Should I wait till other matters or bring them up now?
Bring them out.
Okay. I wanted to know, I was gonna ask when we were on fire hydrants, we actually removed one on Ventura and Wanapah when we did the handicap stuff. And when is that one going to be replaced?
No, we relocated it. I don't think
It's not relocated as far as what I was told.
I will look at that, but I thought we relocated it.
No, it has not been relocated from what I was told. And then my other thing was Dry Creek. I know you gave me an update and stuff, and when we discussed this, and I can go back and look at the minutes and stuff if I need to, but I had, when we were talking and discussing it, there was a cheaper way to do it, and then we could just do it a more expensive way, which for sure would fix it. And I had said that we should go with the cheaper way, and then if we needed to do the more expensive way, then go with that, and I was outvoted. that we were gonna go the more expensive way, and now come to find out we're going the cheaper way, and then if that don't work, we're gonna go to the more expensive fix, and I wanted to know what happened that I missed.
What happened was one of the people up there said, no, I'm not letting you on my property. You're not replacing my line.
How would that make it, because there was a difference in what we were gonna do.
The difference, no, the difference was we were going to take, put in the lift station and see if that solved the problem. That's the step one. And then step two was to go on to, from the lift station to the meter, from the meter to the house, actually replacing the line, upsizing the line to each of the houses that was there. Two things kind of got in the way. One of them said, I just replaced my line. You don't need to replace my line, just improve the pressure, which is the lift station portion. And the other one is the house has only been there for 3 years, and replacing the line may not dramatically improve the amount of water like the lift station will. So what we want to do is do the cheaper option first. And then if that doesn't solve it to their satisfaction, then we can do the next step. But rather than committing in one contract to do it all, going on private property, replacing somebody's line, which the problem will be then when my line fails, you fix their line, why don't you come on my property and fix our line? So we don't want to set a precedent, but we want to solve the problem. So let's see, and this was our engineer's recommendation, is let's put in the lift station. And if they still are not satisfied with volume of water, then we can work with them to upsize their line.
Yeah.
So,
Because I believe, and I was all for doing the cheaper way, and actually we got outvoted on that we would go the more expensive way. So that's why I had questions like, oh, how do we go backwards on that?
but the issue was we were going to do it for all 4 houses, but 2 houses have brand new water lines. And maybe they don't need it. So and maybe the other 2, which, well, one is the older home has the shorter run, and then the other home has a longer run, but maybe it's just a volume of water and not the size of the line. So again, we're committed to solving a problem for those residences, but we're going to do it in a 2-step to reach what the council wanted.
That wasn't what the council voted on.
But I'm sure
I don't mind.
I
I
wasn't.
wanted to bring it to council's attention, like, that's not, because I remember that it was, no, we want to do it right the first time.
Yeah, but when 50% of the people involved say, no, you don't need to replace my lines, that kind of changes the equation.
Okay.
And I wasn't part of that council at that time. But I would agree with, I mean, it's none of the residents' fault that they don't have the water pressure. Right. So it seemed to me, I think it'd be appropriate of the council to say, let's do the maximum here, let's get this thing right.
Yeah.
It's just that, but it's obviously something got in the way of that. But I would agree that it's when they're false, let's go to the maximum thing we can do for them.
Yeah, and that's what we voted on, so I wasn't having a problem with, matter of fact, I like spending less money. However, but I didn't understand what made that turn off record. And then my next question or concern is the steering committee for the city administrator position. Is it that we don't ever get any updates on what's going on, whether we?
I sent out a request for information or response for what the brochure was going to be like, and I got 0 response from the steering committee. So we went in and published, the proposals are out, they're published. The May 2nd is the first review, when the recruitment will review those applicants that have applied and do some weeding and cursory examination and bring to you on May 9th those people that they would like to have you interview. And that's when you as a committee of the whole, or there's no steering committee at this point, because it will be a committee of the whole, determine who you want to interview and where you want to interview and how you want to interview.
Yeah, so I was really curious, because I haven't gotten any updates, I've never got a copy of the brochure.
Oh, yeah, I sent them to you. I sent you emails of the brochures, the ads, the where they were going, and I got no
There
response.
was nothing attached, but I haven't followed up either. So
But
that's
anyway.
on me.
But it's been published and it's going.
Yeah, because I haven't gotten any updates, and it would be nice to get updates when stuff's happening.
Well, I called last, well, see, we were gone Thursday. I called Wednesday.
We saw it.
Yeah, we saw, Brenda Wilson was at the league conference. I said, I guess it was the Thursday before. I said, so have you gotten any applications? And they said, we've gotten one, but they're not really qualified. And I got really depressed. Nobody wants my job. And that afternoon, they called me back, said, we got one something qualified. So, well, I don't know. And I spent a lot of time at the League of American Cities conference going, hey, I got this job.
Good job.
And then my final question is on Mary Ann's position. Are we gotten any applications on that? What are we doing?
We have applications, but none of them, only one has accounting experience.
So the other concern I have in that is that we freed up a position so that we would have the money for training and all of that.
Yeah.
Don't we have an employee that's been, I mean, how is she keeping up? I don't know.
We're having a lot of,
Tired.
she's getting very tired, but we have a lot, she's getting a lot of support from all the other employees in the office. I mean, Kathy's taken over the accounts payable to do it. You know, we've all picked up some of the slack. It's just, she's willing to stay until we find somebody, but this is not unusual. Again, I talked to Brenda Wilson, the LCOG executive director. There are so many finance positions out there and there's nobody's qualified. We got one very, very qualified candidate, but he's just, you know, he says, well, there's a few things I want to negotiate. Well, tell me, what do you want to negotiate? Let me know. And he hasn't done it yet. So we are still advertising on Oregon Municipal Finance Officers Association. We're on the Oregon Employment. We're in the paper. We're LOC. But, you know, it's, people think we're a small town and they can just come in here and learn the job overnight. And it's not that simple. So.
That's all I have. Thank you.
First, I would like to thank staff for all their hard work, and I'd like to thank Janice and Jennifer and Casey. Well, like for them to be here. The meeting this last Thursday and Friday. The rest of this council needs to go into these things. I mean, we're able to talk to all the local government people, the police chiefs, and find out exactly what sort of problems they're having and describe our problems to them. Plus, we're getting all of it information from them. I talked with Broadband, the CEO of Blue Mountain, which controls CoreNet, and described to him some problems here. So then Bird Company, of course, we have salespeople. They want to put like 25 electric scooters here, you know, for people to be able to transit around the downtown and the park area, maybe down Forest Lane. And they would be looking for a maintenance person to run it here. I mean, this isn't a full-time job, so it would be a job for somebody to supplement their income. And she said she would be contacting us about setting up a presentation to council. But that's helping somebody here make some money. There was the classes we went to, you know, like review of city policies and procedures. We should sit down every year or so, or a couple of years, and review our policies to make sure they're up to date and that they're not lacking. They had some great suggestions. We've gone through this without having to replace council members and stuff. And they had a recommendation on a merit system for appointing council members, where we go to the planning commission, our tourist commission, and try to recruit people out of there to be council members when we have to appoint. And I thought that was a great idea. I also learned from one lady about a local government investment pool, where if we ever had spare money, we could invest it here and grow our money.
We are in the local government investment
We
pool.
are in it.
Yes, we have almost $4 million in
All right.
it.
I didn't know. I do now.
No, we are, when I first came to the city, we had about $1 million. Our capital reserve fund is all in the local government investment.
But this meeting, all of us should be on those. There's another one in October, that's the annual meeting. And
Where's that at?
it's gonna be in Bend. So,
Date on that?
Yes.
October 7th.
I don't know, it's on the calendar right behind you. League of Oregon Cities meetings. Oh,
I know that looks like a four.
no, it's not.
It's the 5th through the 7th, River House in Bend.
Yeah. But we should have 2 people there, at least. Gordon was there. Gordon would be in one meeting, I'd be in the other. So we could cover everything.
Well, except in the big conference when there's 1,000 people there, we only had 240 people at the one in Hermiston. So we need more people so that, because there's 3 or 4 breakouts at one time.
Yeah. And there's just so much information and you get to meet so many people. And you get so much information, it's just a whole while. And I see that on December 14th, we have the Oregon Mayors Association doing a mayor's workshop here in Cascade.
Nobody's told me.
That's cool.
Right there.
I believe it, but it's just, they must be doing it in the pavilion or someplace, because they haven't talked to me about it. Which they don't have to talk to me about it.
They don't want us there.
Yeah.
They may have talked to me.
Well, you're gonna be a short timer.
I'm a short-
Everybody's invited
If you're
but you.
still here,
If I'm still
you
there.
you can run the show or something. Yeah.
I'll have to do my little spiel.
Yeah. And I want to thank Brenda for the great job she does with the yard sale. And to let the cat out of the bag now. The cat bus. I was sitting down here at the church Saturday afternoon and watched the cat bus come right up here by City Hall and make a U-turn. Completely illegal. He's between intersections. That's against Oregon law.
Isn't that what we got going through the cemetery for?
No, those are the bigger buses.
Yeah.
It's the Gorge Express bus.
If I see it again, under Oregon law, I can cite it.
Maybe just call Cat, let him know.
Yeah. That's stupid. With as much traffic as we had going down this road Saturday and Sunday, for them to make the U-turn there is just.
Right in front of City Hall?
Right here, almost right in front of City Hall.
We are a U-turn city. They do U-turns for the east wind, they do U-turns for the coffee shop.
It's legal.
They do U-turns all up and down our town.
It's legal to do it at an intersection. It is illegal to do it between intersections. And
Yeah.
do it between intersections.
But it's at an intersection when there's 500 feet
Yeah.
clearance in both directions.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't even there.
Yeah, so
Would you like to call him?
Sure. Saturday, 4/23.
And it was about 2:00. I was outside away from my phone. So I didn't take a picture of it, or else I would have. That's what I got.
All right, thanks, Bill. Julie, you're up.
I'd like to thank the staff and thanks Casey for coming. It's really good to see people at meetings. And Zoom worked really well. The audio is good on my end. I don't know how it is on yours. But that's it. Thanks.
But it's an improvement from what we had before.
And you were very clear to us. So it was easy to hear you. Thumbs up. Okay, that's it then, Julie? Thank you. So yeah, I'll thank everybody. Yeah, city does have a great staff, and you know, they've in all the years that I've been on, they've done a great job for us. And Janice, thanks for your that was an excellent report. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. A lot of work. But thank you for doing that for our community. Our history is, and it is important to this community. I wanted the council, how the council gets involved in things. I really appreciate a couple of things the council does. And I'd like to see, and maybe have other ideas of a variety of things. Growing up in here, we relied heavily on the school to keep the town going and things happen. We all went down there and everybody got together at those kind of things. But this council appears to be very active in trying to get the things going around the community where people can meet each other. And I would hope that we could keep coming up with more ideas that we can do. I know they've just talked about the picnic. I would like to see us, if we do more than one, do something with the alumni together with during.
I think there can be more.
During later, yeah.
Yeah,
I'd like
there
to
can
see
be
us.
more.
But what you did with what you do with the the garage sales, you're right. It does bring a lot of locals together. So to me, I like to see us do more. I think we have a council that wants to do those kind of things. I didn't go to the Easter egg hunt. I heard the Easter egg hunt.
It was amazing.
I heard it went really well, but again, I heard there were a ton of kids down there. Those are the type of things that people remember and communities like, and communities want to be involved in and together with. So for me, the more of those kind of things we can do, so any suggestion that the council wants to make towards that to help, in my mind, shore up what we lost with the lack of schools. We lost a lot, but things like this help bring that back. So for me, anytime, whether you want to put together like a community picnic and anytime we can partner with the port. So I'd like to see if we've had, and in my time in the councils that we were on there, a lot of things we got for the community and move the community ahead was in partnering really well with the port. So anytime that we can partner with the port on things like that, because they do these things themselves already. It'd be nice that the two of us partner on a variety of these type of events. So
They did well at the picnic last year for the community picnic.
Yeah.
Partnering with them, and we had a budget up to 1,500. And we were each gonna spend 1,500, and we each ended up spending 1,000. And so we were under budget, which was good. But it was nothing but positive feedback, and I have been asked too many times, especially going around the garage sales, like, oh yeah, the company picnic, or not company, but
community picnic.
community, and they want
Frankly, I'd like to see a number of them. I like that. I think every time you do it,
right.
because what we used to go to that kept us all together is the school had a variety of things. I mean, we went to basketball games in the wintertime. We had concerts in the spring and in the fall. There was there was a number of things that went on the school to help the community relate to each other, get to see each other and say hi. So it's more than doing one thing. But I can see by the things that this council have done, you folks have done here, in my mind, has really helped advance that feeling again of what we had as a community. So for me, whatever we can do, because obviously we got people that like doing that, whatever we can do to come up with whatever it may be, ideas to establish opportunities for citizens all to get together in some type of a thing.
Can we get that on an agenda to vote on? So if we're gonna vote for money for the event. For the community people.
Well, as far as the council, like I say, the council is in all control. If this council decides it wants to move on something, the council can move it. It can change anything it wants to change. So yeah, if you want to put that on an agenda to discuss events, things like that. But in discussing them, I also would like to make sure that whatever we do, we try to partner with the port. The port is a great partner, and I believe, and the port, as I say, they already do things like this, and I'm sure they would love to partner with us on things like that. So for me, in my time in here, that to me that is the most important for me personally. That's the most important thing is to see this community have a chance to come together, where a bunch of kids got to go down there and have a great time at an Easter egg hunt. That's I'm all about, and to be able to have a great citywide sale. So those are a variety of things. So I'd like to see other types of things, an idea thing where we continue to do those things. So anyways.
Do you have a date?
Our combined Easter service attracted 64 people. Down there, about 15 people were not members of either church.
So was that a good turnout?
That was a good turnout.
Well, good. Good.
Do you have a date, Butch, for the alumni picnic you're gonna do?
The alumni picnic is
Oh,
this
Labor-
Saturday before Labor Day.
Yeah.
Saturday night.
Well, is that the dinner or is that the
That's the
picnic? It's not what it's Saturday.
There's no
It's gonna be a day. Is it on Labor Day or
No,
They gave
it's on
away
Sunday, isn't it?
they gave away the
the pavilion.
pavilion.
Yeah, but you still have a picnic.
No.
No, I think they're having a dinner, right?
The night
Having
before.
dinner.
They're having a dinner at Bridgeside, I believe. But I'm talking about a picnic, because we do more than just this dinner. The dinner is an alumni dinner.
Right.
The picnic is a community picnic. Now, we could call it old timers, we can call it whatever we want, but it was always, it was a community thing. The idea was to get the community all down there.
We just need to come up with Olga, the date and.
No, September 3rd is the alumni dinner.
And so the fourth, because the fourth is what I remember, Russ Nichols was a town father, and he used to put it on, and he would just put the fourth on all the telephone poles. All you see is the fourth, so people would ask the question, what's that all about? And yeah, he had on every telephone, little thing that said the fourth. So basically, I think it's pretty much on so the picnic, I think is probably gonna be on the fourth, is when you would have the picnic. And like I said, the alumni would like to, would like to team up with the city on doing that one. Now, whether we do more besides that one, yeah,
I'd still like to.
bring
do a
it
community-
before council.
Yeah, I'd still like to do a committee.
Yeah.
community one. There can be more than one.
And the other thing that I appreciate is I lose track of things. We bring something on up, and that's how I always will in the council, that I would lose something I want to follow up on, I forget to follow up on. That's another thing I appreciate about this council. This council, Bernie, you keep following up on the Dry Creek thing. I appreciate that. And the citizens appreciate somebody that'll keep, you're gonna keep following up on this thing until it gets done. And Kathy, all of you, when you've brought something up in council, the next time around, you ask the question, how are we doing with that? I like that. I like the fact that this council makes sure that, because it's easy, and it happened to me a number of times where I forgot about it, and it got lost, and then some things didn't follow through on the way that, because we got so many things going on, didn't follow through, but the fact that you guys keep coming up and following, I appreciate how this council does that. So anyway, that's it for me. But what do we got now? Other matters. You've taken care of your other matters. So are there any other matters? How about executive session?
No, sir.
So how about adjournment?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Move to second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
I-
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned.